Ayah number 12 from Surah As-Saffat is the source of many questions for many people, specifically for its different qira'at. The ayah is read with fatha on the ta in the famous qira'ah of Asim and 6 other qira'at. بَلْ عَجِبْتَ وَيَسْخَرُونَ, which is translated to, but you wonder while they mock. However, in 3 other qira'at, there is a dhamma on the ta. بَلْ عَجِبْتُ وَيَسْخَرُونَ, which changes the meaning by changing the subject or the pronoun that goes with this verb. But I wonder while they mock. And right here, many questions arise. Where did this change come from? Can a qira'ah change the meaning like this? Are both versions correct? How's that possible? And if they are, were they revealed at once, together? Isn't wondering only possible if you don't know something? So how's it mentioned in relation to Allah? Now, to really understand this ayah and clear all the doubts and the confusion around it, we'll tackle 4 main issues regarding this ayah. 1. The differences in qira'at. 2. The 2 versions of ayah 12. 3. The use of the verb ajiba in relation to Allah. And number 4, understanding both versions of the ayah. So let's get started. First, when there is a difference in qira'at, is it possible that the meaning changes? The answer is yes, that is possible. Some differences between qira'at do not affect the meaning at all, like buyutikum is also pronounced as biyutikum, and both are correct and both mean exactly the same thing. But some other differences do change the meaning, like maliki yawmiddin and maliki yawmiddin. Whatever qira'ah it is, they are all considered correct, and they are all Quran because they are all revealed from Allah. So when we go back to the main point of this lesson, both versions, ajibita and ajibtu, are correct, and they are both Quran. So Allah revealed this ayah to the Prophet peace be upon him, and he was told to read it in these 2 ways that we have today. Number 2. How is it possible that a small diacritic could change the meaning so much like this? Well, in Arabic, when a verb ends with ta with fatha, it then means that the verb is used in the second person, or in other words, addressing a single male. But when it has dhamma, then it means that the verb is used in the first person, or in other words, the person speaks about himself. Like in this example, the verb labitha means to stay or remain. When it has ta with fatha at the end, it is then used in the second person, you remained. But labithtu with dhamma on the ta means that it is used in the first person, I remained. And this is clearly reflected in the translation of the ayah, as you can see. And so, when we go back to the ayah in question and compare both qira'at, ajibita is used with fatha on the ta is second person, where Allah addresses His Prophet, peace be upon him, directly. You wondered. But ajibitu is first person, so the speaker is talking about himself. But then, does that mean that Allah is referring to Himself here? We'll answer this question in a minute. That's how a small change in an ayah can lead to such big differences in meaning. That is also why learning tajweed and how to properly recite the Quran is very important, which is to avoid making such mistakes that can change the meaning this much. Now, for the verb ajiba, it means to wonder, be amazed, surprised at something. In the more common version about the Prophet, peace be upon him, it is easy to see that he, peace be upon him, was surprised at the fact that the disbelievers refused the message in spite of the clear evidence. But in the other qira'ah of the first person, since the Quran is Allah's words and it is in the first person, how can we understand the use of the verb ajiba when it means to wonder or be surprised? Doesn't wondering necessarily mean that you didn't know something? Which takes us to the third point. How is it possible that we use the verb ajiba in relation to Allah? Well, The scholars of tafsir provide three opinions on how we should understand it. The first opinion is that of those who said that the meaning does not actually change even with the qira'ah of Dhamma, because ajibitu with Dhamma still refers to the Prophet peace be upon him, and that there is an introductory sentence not mentioned in the ayah, which is estimated by, "Say, O Prophet Muhammad," which then makes the Prophet peace be upon him the one talking here as well. And this is not strange, since this style is indeed used in other parts of the Quran, specifically in ayat where there is exclamation, in which Allah directs the wondering to the listener, Prophet Muhammad, on the doing of the disbelievers, like in Surah Maryam, "Asmi' bihim wa absir," and also in Surah Al-Baqarah, "Fama asbarahum ala an-nar." So according to this opinion, the meaning doesn't even change, and the tafsir as a result remains the same. The second opinion is that of the scholars who went with the obvious indication that the word ajiba was used in relation to Allah. And this is not particularly strange, because Allah himself used that verb to talk about himself. This ayah is Allah's words, and it reached us like this. And so Allah tells us about himself in the way he wills. Furthermore, the Prophet peace be upon him also used the same verb to tell us about Allah in an authentic hadith, where we clearly see the verb ajiba also used to tell us about Allah. So using the verb ajiba with Allah is not strange, since Allah himself used it, and his Prophet peace be upon him through wahi also used to talk about Allah. But then how Allah performs this action, or what it actually entails, is ghaib, unknown for us. We will never know. Most importantly, we cannot compare Allah's action to that of his creation. Just like in the ayah, وَيَمْكُرُونَ وَيَمْكُرُ اللَّهِ. The verb yamkur means to conspire or plot against. It is used here to describe what the disbelievers do. But when Allah uses it to talk about himself, we cannot say that the doing of this action is the same in both cases. Allah, the Exalted, cannot be compared to his creation. We only acknowledge what Allah has told us about himself, without explaining or providing elaborate details on the how. Similarly, وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Humans talk. Allah tells about himself that he spoke to Musa, but the action itself cannot be compared to our action or our talking. It is not the same. So we acknowledge and move on without comparing, describing, or trying to imagine. So according to this second opinion, the verb ajiba does indeed belong to Allah, but we don't compare this action to what the Prophet peace be upon him did, because it is just simply not the same. A third group of scholars said that Arabs do use the verb ajiba in other contexts with other meanings other than wondering or getting amazed or surprised at something. One of these meanings is to show disapproval at something. That's why some Quran translations, which went with this opinion, translated this ayah in this qira'ah as "I gravely noted," rather than "I wondered," which is understandable considering that the word wonder isn't the exact translation of ajiba. So they avoided using a word that can give a wrong connotation when used with Allah the Almighty. Finally, if we're talking about something that was said or done in two qira'at, which one happened? And the answer is that this is one of the most amazing aspects of studying the qira'at, which is seeing how Allah is able to deliver so much meaning in such a concise manner. The meaning of the ayah is indeed both of them at the same time. It is telling us about how the Prophet peace be upon him reacted, and at the same time giving us information about Allah according to the second or third opinion. All this happening in the same ayah containing just 3 words, which is, if anything, is a miraculous way of delivering the message. If you missed the previous lesson on qira'at, then I highly recommend going back to it and checking it out. And if you want a quick and concise introduction to qira'at, then I recommend watching this lesson. Thanks for watching. If you want to start learning the tajweed, then start with this playlist. And also, don't forget to check my latest book about Tajweed and download the companion app. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.